Hello students, I welcome you all to the third session of quadrilaterals. Hope all of you have completed your classworks and kept ready to write today's work. Let us start with session 3. In today's session, you are going to learn special property of a parallelogram which makes a quadrilateral a parallelogram. After that, midpoint theorem, converse of midpoint theorem and its application. That is, you are going to apply midpoint theorem and the converse of the midpoint theorem to solve problems. Coming to the first concept of today's session, that is a special property of a parallelogram. If you come across any quadrilateral in which one pair of opposite sides are equal and parallel, then that quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So whenever you solve problems, you will be getting a quadrilateral in which one pair of opposite sides are parallel and equal. In such a case, the quadrilateral can be told as a parallelogram. So you will be using this in problems. So you should be remembering that in a quadrilateral, if one pair of opposite sides are equal and parallel, then it is a parallelogram. You will be getting a doubt how a quadrilateral can be a parallelogram if one pair of opposite sides is equal and parallel. Because you learnt about the properties of parallelogram which was like this, that is, if opposite sides of a quadrilateral are equal and parallel, then it is a parallelogram. But according to the special property, if one pair of opposite sides are equal and parallel, then the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Because all of us know the distance between the parallel lines are going to be equal. So if you come across one pair of opposite sides equal and parallel, then the quadrilateral is going to be a parallelogram. For example, now here you have a theorem to prove the statement. If ABCD is a quadrilateral in which DC is equal to AB and DC is parallel to AB, then this quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Let us check how it is a parallelogram. So according to the statement, ABCD is a quadrilateral in which AB is parallel to CD and AB is equal to CD. This is the information we have about one pair of opposite sides. Let us see how it is going to be a parallelogram. ABCD is a parallelogram, you have to prove. That is what it is written here to prove. Now we shall move on to proof. It is given that AB is parallel to CD, isn't it? So AB is parallel to CD. So AC acts as a transversal. So which are the alternate angles? Angle BAC, that is this angle, is alternate to this angle, that is DCA. Alternate angles will be equal if a transversal is cutting a pair of parallel lines. So angle BAC is equal to angle DCA. The reason is alternate angles. Give it as equation number 1. Now consider triangle ADC and triangle CBA. That is this triangle and this triangle. AB is equal to CD, it is given in the question. So you can write the reason as given. And we also kept it ready that angle BAC is equal to angle DCA because they are alternate. We have already written here and given it as equation 1. So you can write the reason as from 1. And AC is equal to CA because AC acts as a common side for both the triangles. So that will definitely be equal because it is common. So the reason can be written as common. So from these three, we can write it as triangle ADC is congruent to triangle CBA according to SAS congruence rule. That is side angle side. Side angle side. And the angle becomes included here. So these two triangles are congruent. So after proving the congruency of triangles, you can write the other corresponding sides which are not included in the proof as equal according to CPCT. So we will be writing DA is equal to CB. DA is equal to CB or BC. That is by CPCT. What is CPCT? Corresponding parts of congruent triangles. Since you have proved the congruency of these two triangles, you can write DA is equal to BC according to CPCT. Now if you consider A, B, C, D, that is this quadrilateral, both the pairs of opposite sides are equal. So that is That is one of the properties of parallelogram, isn't it? Opposite sides are equal. So we proved that DA is equal to CB, and already it was given that DC is equal to AB. So if opposite sides are equal, then the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So from this, what you should be knowing is a quadrilateral will become a parallelogram if one pair of opposite sides is equal and parallel. You can copy this as it is in your classwork. And you should remember this statement because you will be requiring this to solve problems. You will be writing this statement as reason whenever you find a quadrilateral in which opposite sides are equal and parallel. That means the quadrilateral becomes a parallelogram. Now, the next concept is midpoint theorem. What is the midpoint theorem? The midpoint theorem states that the line segment joining the midpoints of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side and equal to half of the third side. This is what midpoint theorem states. Now don't see all the words in the statement together and think that the statement is so long and how to remember this, all those. It is very easy. You have to understand everything in detail so that it is going to be easy to understand the midpoint theorem. Now this midpoint theorem is about a triangle. So you will be considering a triangle first. So let us consider triangle ABC. The line segment joining the midpoints of any two sides. Now let us consider the sides AB and AC as the two sides. So if D is the midpoint of AB and E is the midpoint of AC, and if these midpoints are joined, if these two midpoints are joined, we get a line segment, isn't it? So the statement is about this line segment. The line segment joining the midpoints of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side. Now which is the third side? BC is the third side because we considered AB and AC as two sides, marked the midpoints of those two sides and joined those two midpoints so that we got a line segment here. So the statement says that this line segment is parallel to the third side, that is BC. So DE is parallel to BC. Also DE is half of BC. That means if BC is 10 centimeter, DE will be 5 centimeter. So this is about the midpoint theorem. Since the line segment is joined using the midpoints, the theorem is named as midpoint theorem. So whenever you come across problems where you have the line segments which are joined using the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, you should be knowing that that side, that is this line segment, will be parallel to the third side and this line segment is going to be half of the third side. So that is how you are going to apply midpoint theorem. You will be learning the proof of this statement now, but you don't have to by heart or practice the proof of the midpoint theorem. You should be knowing only to apply midpoint theorem to solve the problems. So you can make note of the proof in your classwork, but you don't have to practice that. Only thing is you should be knowing the statement completely without any confusions, and you should also be able to apply the same while solving the problems based on midpoint theorem. Since the proof of this theorem is being deleted for this year's academic syllabus, so you don't have to practice this theorem, just go through the proof, all the steps of the proof, that is how is EF going to be parallel to BC and how is EF going to be half of BC. All the steps are given in detail and the reasons for every step is also mentioned here. You can make note of all these in your classwork. I shall just brief out the proof. So this is the statement of the midpoint theorem, and according to the theorem, ABC is a triangle in which E and F are the midpoints of AB and AC. That is the given information. You should be proving that EF is parallel to BC. Also, EF is half of BC. So, for this proof, we are doing a construction. That is, we are drawing a line parallel through C, parallel to AB. Through C, we are drawing a line segment which is parallel to AB. That is the construction. And we will be extending EF until it meets this parallel line, and we will name that point as D. I repeat the construction. We will be drawing a line segment passing through the point C such that it is parallel to AB, and we will extend EF till D. That is, till it meets this parallel line, and we will name this point as D. This is about the construction and the diagram. Coming to the proof, since AB is parallel to CD, AB is parallel to CD because we constructed CD in such way that it is parallel to AB. What will be acting as a transversal? ED will act as a transversal because these two line segments, that is CD and AB, are parallel. So EF, that is ED, will be acting as transversal. So alternate angles are going to be equal, that is AEF, that is this angle will be equal to this angle because they are alternate. Give it as equation number 1 and keep it ready. Now consider triangle AEF and triangle CDF, that is this triangle and this triangle. Already we know that this pair of angles are equal because they are alternate from 1. So we will write those angles and give the reason as from 1. Now if you consider these two angles, they are vertically opposite angles and they will be equal. That is AFE. Angle AFE is equal to angle CFD. The reason is vertically opposite angles. AF is equal to CF because F is the midpoint according to the statement. So AF will be equal to CF. F is the midpoint of AC will be the reason, or you can write it as given. So therefore triangle AEF is congruent to triangle CDF according to AAS, that is angle side congruency rule. We have two angles and the side becomes included in both the case, that is both the angles are formed on this side only. Then according to CPCT, you can write EA is equal to DC, that is EA is equal to DC. After proving the congruency, you can write the other pairs which are corresponding are equal according to CPCT. But we already know that EA is equal to EB. EA is equal to EB because E is the midpoint. Here we got EA is equal to DC, isn't it? So in this equation and in this equation we have EA same. So you can compare these two and write EB is equal to DC. So EB becomes equal to DC by comparing these two equations. So EB is equal to DC. Just now you studied about the special property of a parallelogram, that if a quadrilateral, now you can see EBCD is a quadrilateral, isn't it? EBCD, this forms a quadrilateral. We have proved that EB is equal to CD, and our construction says that CD is parallel to EB because EB is a part of AB, so CD will be parallel to EB. So if one pair of opposite sides are equal and parallel, what it is? The quadrilateral becomes a parallelogram. Therefore EBCD is a parallelogram. Since opposite sides of parallelogram are parallel, ED is parallel to BC and EF is also parallel to BC because EF is a part of ED. So if ED is parallel to BC, then definitely EF will also be parallel to BC. So this is the first part of the theorem where we proved that EF is parallel to BC. The second part says that EF is half of BC, isn't it? So how to prove that? Already we proved and kept that these two triangles are congruent. So we can write EF is equal to FD. So EF is equal to FD according to CPCT of this proof. So EF is equal to FD, and we already know that EBCD is a parallelogram. So opposite sides of parallelogram are equal, isn't it? So ED will be equal to BC. So if ED is equal to BC and if EF is equal to FD, then F becomes the midpoint. So EF is half of BC. So this is about the proof of midpoint theorem. If you understand this, that's enough. You don't have to practice. You should be able to apply this theorem while solving the problems. Hope all of you understood the midpoint theorem, the statement of the midpoint theorem with the diagram in detail. Now, before you move on to the next concept, that is the converse of the midpoint theorem, I just want to know if all of you know the meaning of converse of a statement. What is converse of a statement? Converse means switching the hypothesis and the conclusion of a conditional statement. So what do you mean by a conditional statement? All of you will have lot of conditions to do any work in your home, isn't it? So if you give this, I'll do that, like that you will be telling. So here also, midpoint theorem is a conditional statement. So where the condition is called as hypothesis and the result of that is called as the conclusion. For example, if it is raining, if I take this statement as a conditional statement, if it is raining, then the grass is wet. Here the condition is if it is raining, then the grass becoming wet is the conclusion. So if you reverse the statement like this, it is going to become the converse. That is, the converse of this statement is going to be like this. If the grass is wet, then it is raining. So here the conclusion in the previous statement becomes the condition in the converse, and the hypothesis in the previous statement becomes the conclusion in the converse. So if this is the midpoint theorem statement, you will have the converse of the midpoint theorem giving the same meaning, but the condition and the conclusion will be switched. Hope all of you understood the meaning of converse. Now let us learn the converse of the midpoint theorem. Hope it is clear to you all the meaning of converse of a statement. All of you know the statement of the midpoint theorem, isn't it? Now let us learn what is the statement of the converse of the midpoint theorem. This is the statement which you can see on the screen here. The line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle parallel to another side bisects the third side. Now let us consider the triangle to be ABC. You can see the triangle here, ABC. The line drawn through the midpoint of one side. So I will consider that one side to be AB. Mark the midpoint of that as E. So E will be the midpoint of AB. So the line drawn through the midpoint, this is the midpoint, isn't it? So if the line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle parallel to another side, that is BC, you can see these both are parallel. So if a line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle in such a way that it is parallel to the second side, then it is going to bisect the third side. That means F will become the midpoint of AC. So what are the two conditions required here to apply converse? So the result of the converse is F is the midpoint of AC. But to say that F is the midpoint of AC, two conditions should be satisfied. Which are those? E should be the midpoint of AB and this line EF should be parallel to BC. Then you can say that F is the midpoint of AC. So this is the converse of midpoint theorem. In midpoint theorem, what did you learn? If E and F are the midpoints and if this line segment is joined, EF will be half of the BC and EF will be parallel to BC. That is what you learnt in midpoint theorem, isn't it? So the converse of the midpoint theorem is if these two line segments are parallel and if this point is the midpoint of AB, then F will be the midpoint of AC. This is the statement of converse of the midpoint theorem. Dear students, you should be remembering both, that is the midpoint theorem statement as well as the converse of the midpoint theorem. Only then you will be able to solve application questions accurately. You should be knowing when to apply midpoint theorem and when to apply converse of the midpoint theorem. To apply midpoint theorem, what and all are required? You require two midpoints of two line segments in a triangle. That is the condition to apply midpoint theorem. And In case of converse, what and all you require? You require one midpoint and the line passing through that midpoint to be parallel to another side. So these are the two conditions required to apply converse of the midpoint theorem. Hope it is clear to you all. Now let us solve few problems based on midpoint theorem as well as converse of the midpoint theorem. Observe the question here. ABCD is a quadrilateral in which P, Q, R and S. ABCD is a quadrilateral in which P, Q, R and S are the midpoints of the sides AB, BC, CD and AD respectively. Figure is given in the question, that is why it is mentioned in the question. If it is not given, you should see the question and you should only do the diagram. Here the diagram is given. The question also says that AC is a diagonal, that is AC, you can see AC is a diagonal. So using all this information you're expected to prove these following. First one, SR parallel to AC and SR is half of AC. SR is this line segment. You should be proving that SR is parallel to AC, also SR is half of AC. Second one, PQ is equal to SR. PQ is equal to SR. And the third one what you have to prove is PQRS is a parallelogram. You can see there is one more quadrilateral inside. You should be proving that it is a parallelogram. Now let us see how to prove all these three. Initially we should be starting by writing given. What is given here? P, Q, R and S are the midpoints of the sides AB, BC, CD and DA. After that, since P is the midpoint, what and all can be equal in this line segments? AP will be equal to PB. That is what is being written here. Similarly, BQ will be equal to QC. After that, CR will be equal to RD. Then DS will be equal to AS. All these will be the given information. And what are they asking you to prove? You should just write these three questions as it is here. Now we shall see how to prove this. To prove the first one, that is SR parallel to AC and SR is half of AC, we shall consider the triangle ADC. Observe the triangle ADC. Forget about the other part. Just see only ADC triangle. S is the midpoint of AD and then R is the midpoint of DC. If two midpoints are there in a triangle for two different line segments, then which theorem can you apply? You can apply midpoint theorem. So if you apply midpoint theorem for this triangle ADC, SR is parallel to AC according to midpoint theorem. Also, SR will be half of AC according to the midpoint theorem. That is what is being written here. In triangle ADC, we have S is the midpoint of AD and R is the midpoint of DC. So we know that the line segment joining the midpoints of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side and equal to half of it. This is by the midpoint theorem. If you don't want to write such big statement as reason, you should be writing from midpoint theorem. You should be writing the reason as from the midpoint theorem. So therefore, SR is parallel to AC and SR is half of AC. Give it as equation number 1 and 2. That completes the proof of the first question. Now moving on to the second one. Let us see how to prove this. That is PQ is equal to SR. Now what we did here, we proved in triangle ADC that SR is parallel to AC and SR is half of AC. Similarly, we can do for triangle ABC. Because P is the midpoint of AB and Q is the midpoint of BC. Therefore, PQ will be parallel to AC and PQ will be half of AC if you apply the midpoint theorem for this triangle, that is ABC. So, according to the midpoint theorem, PQ is parallel to AC, PQ is half of AC. Give equation numbers 3 and 4 for these two. Now, observe all the four equations here. Here we have SR is equal to half AC in equation 2. Here we have PQ is equal to half AC in equation 4. If you observe equation number 2 and equation number 4, we have RHS equal. So the LHS will be obviously equal. Therefore, from equations 2 and equation 4, we can write PQ is equal to SR. Give it as equation number 5. That completes the second proof. Now we shall move on to the third proof. Now observe all these 5 equations. We have PQ parallel to SR and PQ equal to SR, isn't it? Because SR is parallel to AC. Similarly, PQ is also parallel to AC. All those we did in these two proofs. So, SR is parallel to AC, AC is parallel to PQ. Since AC being the common parallel line for both SR and PQ, so you can say that SR is parallel to PQ. Already we have proved that PQ is equal to SR. So, if one pair of opposite sides are equal and parallel, then what is that quadrilateral going to be? It will be a parallelogram. So, from equations 1 and 3 we get PQ is parallel to SR, and from equation 5 we get PQ is equal to SR. So, since a pair of opposite sides of this quadrilateral PQRS is equal and parallel, PQRS is a parallelogram. So, such questions can be asked for 3 marks in your test or your examination. You should be writing all the steps in detail. Don't skip writing the reasons. Statement and reason both should be written in detail. No using short forms. Whenever you use the reason as midpoint theorem, either you have to write the statement completely or you should write from the midpoint theorem these words completely. No using any abbreviations. Hope it is clear to you all how to prove all these 3 in this question. Dear students, now it is assignment time. I want all of you to make note of all these points in your classwork. If you have made note all these points from session 1 and session 2, just go through the points, check if you have missed anything. All these are very important. You should be knowing all these points, and all these points should be written in your classwork as well. So this is going to be the notes for quadrilaterals chapter. The following 3 slides are going to be the notes. Make sure that you write all these in your classwork without fail. Along with that, complete all the problems whatever is being explained in the sessions. Along with that, you have to complete your exercise problems also. You will be having for your midterm examination till here, that is 3 sessions of quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals, types of quadrilaterals, angle sum property of quadrilateral, parallelogram and its types, midpoint theorem, converse of midpoint theorem, and the problems based on converse of midpoint theorem as well as midpoint theorem. You don't have to practice the theorems, that is proof, as I told you all. You have to know the statement and its application thoroughly.